This is FCTV, fan-controlled television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. As always, power to the fans. And now, it's time for the show.
All the guns, all the finger guns.
You're in for it now, friends. You are in for it now.
This, I don't know what's happening with the bow tie. It's really doing a lot, or trying to do too much, or all the things. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Kenny Stevenson.
I'm Alex Enriquez. Hello, and welcome to Fan-Controlled Fandom's first annual Fandie Awards.
a.k.a. the Fandies, where, this is award season. We've had the Golden Globes, we've had the Emmys, the Grammys are coming up this weekend. We have the Oscars in a couple of weeks. And yes, thank you very much, a.k.a. the Fannies, which is a missed opportunity on our end, which, interesting enough, Fannie meaning one thing here in the States, meaning something wholly different in the United Kingdom. Look it up.
And then go over there and say it a bunch and have people not get mad at you because they can't, because you have an American accent.
They're going to be intoxicated by your American accent. Just make sure you speak softly, because you speak too loud in England, they get real pissed off. Anyway, this is Fan Control Fandom. This is all things in the cape space. This is if you have content where people wear capes, we're going to be talking about it, and we're going to be giving out awards today. The first annual Fandie Awards based on fandom content from all of 2023. There will be, make sure that you are on the Control app, you've downloaded it. There's going to be polls. You're going to be able to give your vote as to who think you should be winning in some of these categories. Alex has no idea what awards I am giving out. I have no idea what awards Alex is giving out. It would be hysterical if we somehow wrote the same things. And I'm somewhat worried now that I said it out loud that that's what's happened. But we will soon find out. However, before we get into that, we have to do the quick pieces of nerd news. It's something we start off our show with every week. And you know what it comes with, Alex? A stinger.
My favorite piece of media. Quick hits. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And as we laugh and laugh, the biggest news, this literally just happened, like within the last, hour. Grief Karga? That's his character's name, right?
Yeah.
Grief Karga from The Mandalorian. This actor, Carl Weathers, played Apollo Creed, was in The Predator, Happy Gilmore, Action Jackson. But in terms of the fandom space and in terms of currently, he has been prominently figured in seasons 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars The Mandalorian. He has unfortunately just passed away. We just found out, as we were getting to go on air, and I don't think I think it's definitely something that we should call out.
Right. I mean, somebody who obviously had a huge footprint in the genre space and these big action movies, but also an accomplished director and stage and theater actor. Just an enormous shock. I mean, he was 76 years old, but also looked like that. Didn't seem very frail to pass at such a relatively young age.
He could climb into the ring, and I mean, if Stallone's still making Rocky movies, I don't see any reason why you couldn't put Carl Weathers in there. We got a couple shout outs here. Stay Weird, watching on YouTube, says, "Hey, Duke and Kenny, love you guys and the content. Highlight of my week. You're welcome."
Hey.
BC Lions, of course, says, "Lads, happy Friday. Happy Friday to you. Hope your class isn't going to be, we'll try to keep the content to a class-free."
I have to say, he resonated with me and has really guided my hand in what because I used to think, if I just don't make a cuss, then I'll be okay. But there's also a giant gulf between a flat out cuss and something you'd want a mixed crowd to listen to. So
exactly.
Thank you for that little alert for our family oriented, fan controlled show.
We'll try to keep it that way. And he also says, "Ye look adorable. Thank you very much. We're dressed up for the Fandies." Alex had this amazing coat that you have on is incredible. I couldn't even I saw the photo of the coat and I was like, I can't even get in the ballpark with that. So I'll just do a little orange bow tie. I got married in this bow tie. So there's some significance there.
Well, but I think too, if I may remark, it does match very well with this border color, part of our fan controlled fandom branding.
Bang, 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 bang. I'm all about branding.
Yeah.
So that's very sad news about Carl Weathers. Just I don't know how prominently he was going to be featured in whatever was happening next in this new Mandalorian movie that we're getting. Bow tie looks a little small for a wedding venue. Thanks, Freddie Airmail. This was 14 years ago when I got married. So
yes, but you got married in this bow tie. It seems a little small to hold a whole wedding.
Well, this was back in the day when like downsizing was a big old deal. So, you know, people were shrinking themselves down and getting married in bow ties. It was kind of a kitsch thing.
Also, you ever go into like a really, really old house and like the stairs are super small? It's like people used to be smaller before calories were more available.
Yeah, it's like going to a pub in the UK. Stay weird. The first thing goes, can he be an exact replica of Edward Norton? I'll take it. I mean, accomplished actor Edward Norton. Sure, let's go.
Accomplished, handsome man.
Thank you. So we don't know what Carl Weathers was factoring into this movie that we're getting, the Mandalorian and Grogu, but I'm sure he was going to be in it. So that's definitely going to be a loss there. And we obviously want to give T's and P's to his family and anyone who he touched. He seemed like a wonderful person.
Yeah, he's an incredibly accomplished man and seemed to get it. You look at him and was Happy Gilmore and in Arrested Development, like that you could be the dude in Predator and in Arrested Development, find the right tone to take with which to take yourself seriously at every turn. Like that's you know, he's one of those people that I think any actor out there trying to make a living at it has got to look at, and you know, that's how you do it.
That line in Happy Gilmore Arrested Development, when like someone is trying to throw away a bone and he's like, whoa, don't throw that away. Put that in a pot with some boiling water. You got some stew, baby. That's like, it's an incredible line. That's incredible
iconic
stuff. Yeah, it's iconic.
It is
stuff.
iconic.
Exactly. Amazing stuff. So you know, it's a tragic to start the show off with, but you know, we're starting there and we're only going up.
Can I tell you the big reverse tragedy of the whole thing is that I was conceiving of a joke in memoriam segment, and now we've actually had a real one, and I'm glad that I don't have to gulp my way through that. So yeah, I mean, like honestly, a big time player, not just in entertainment, but also in these things that we like to talk about. Just you know, rest in power to Mr. Weathers and
rest in
T's
power,
and P's
baby.
to the family.
T's and P's, rest in power. In the nerd news, that one of the biggest pieces of what could be potentially rumored to be getting during the Super Bowl next week. I'm sorry, the big game. I don't want to get sued.
Oh yeah,
the big game next week is the trailer for Deadpool 3. There's a lot of hype around this movie is growing and growing, as this is the only live action Marvel movie we are getting in 2024, and Matthew Vaughn, who has a movie called Argyle coming out this week, which Alex and I had kind of intended to do for the show, but couldn't get out to see it in time. He's hitting the rounds of the interview circuit talking about his show. He apparently has seen some of the script and some of what they're doing for Deadpool 3, and he thinks that Deadpool 3 is potentially going to save the MCU based on, I mean, obviously Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was a big hit, but Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and the Marvels both proved to be, in terms of box office revenue, tend to be disappointments. Matthew Vaughn said, the few snippets that I know about Deadpool versus Wolverine or Wolverine versus Deadpool, I think that's what they're calling this movie, I'm sure that argument between Ryan and he was happening as we speak, are unbelievable. That's going to be the jolt. The Marvel Universe is about to have a jolt of them, and it's going to bring that body back to life. I think Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are about to save the whole Marvel Universe. And, I mean, this is the greatest show. Here we go.
I think that I rolled my eyes initially because I remember not that long ago James Gunn saying that The Flash was the best superhero movie ever or whatever.
Touche.
People do tend to kind of come out and say, I saw an early cut and it's going to, but the rationale here, I mean, I still think it's going to save the Marvel Universe is a lot of hyperbole, but what they will introduce into it is exciting to me. I think that what they introduce is going to be a new dynamic, and yeah, it could potentially be the thing that they kind of gather around going forward. But I also don't necessarily think that the Marvel universe needs saving. So, you know, I agree with him that it is exciting, the potential of not only introducing, you know, Hugh Jackman Wolverine to Marvel in whatever capacity, then also bringing in a character who is like the opposite of that in terms of their seriousness, somebody who breaks the fourth wall. Like, you know, I've said before, I think Deadpool could look into the camera and literally say, "Well, these are the rules now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe." And not only would it just be canon, it would also fit his character.
Yeah, I think what the bigger takeaway from me is not that he's going to save the MCU, is that it's going to, in theory, change whatever narrative is out there currently in the biz, in the show. But look at you, just get a real quick little.
Had to get a thing.
I love
in
that.
there.
I love that. Stay Weird wants to know, is Madam Web not live action? Madam Web is live action, but it is not in the MCU proper. That is in the Sony Marvel universe of Spider-Man character verse. Which we will
House
be
of the Dragon, Book 1, Rebel Moon.
Verse Rebel Moon, based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire. We'll be talking about Madam Web in 2 weeks for sure. Sorry, Alex, we're going to have to do it. Yeah, I think that
you can get me to an advanced screening.
Well, it comes out Thursday night, the night before the show. It'll be the perfect thing to spend. Oh shoot, I don't know if I actually can do it that week. We'll talk about it anyway. So,
boy, oh boy, boy, oh boy.
My daughter,
Sorry about that, folks.
My daughter has a big dance competition. There is, like I said, I think this is about changing the narrative. This is about resetting the narrative as Marvel being the juggernaut, which is what Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, basically, everyone loves to talk about, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and the Marvels. But they don't mention that in between those was an absolute huge blockbuster, home run, excellent movie, shows what the MCU can do. And it was kind of wedged in between. And then if you had Secret Invasion, which is kind of like a ho-hum TV show, it's kind of, the narrative has only been negative. Where I think this is going to be, because it's going to give fans like everything. Like everyone's in this damn movie. I feel like you and I got my call time tomorrow. I'm going to be in it tomorrow. I think you and I are going to be in it. Everyone's going to be in Deadpool 3. And I think that's what he's really trying to say.
I got B team for Toad. It's like so messed up.
Oh, I know you're going to love this. Now, the next couple pieces of news are right in your wheelhouse, baby. Matthew Vaughn, who is also, as I said, he's doing all the interviews, and Henry Cavill, who is currently in Argyle. During one of these interviews, he was asked about, because fans are eager to, because obviously fans have nothing better to do, are eager to find a way for Henry Cavill to return to the role of Superman. And on this same podcast that he was talking about, Deadpool, which is the Bro Bible's post-credit podcast, he talked about some of the Elseworlds miniseries of Superman that Cavill could be in, and the one that he would like to see done is Superman Red Sun. He said, I thought Red Sun was one of the cleverest comics I'd ever read, and the current world we're living in, it certainly became a lot more relevant because ignorance causes more issues, and I think the more we learn about Russia and the Russian history, wow, could you imagine making Red Sun with Henry Cavill? That would be an interesting movie. Now, the Red Sun, there is an animated version of this that you can see. It's a movie, but for the fans, Alex, please explain what the story is.
Red Sun takes place in the Elseworlds line of comics that Kenny mentioned, which is basically DC's What If. There's What If Batman was introduced in the era and hunted Jack the Ripper. That was the first Elseworlds story, was Gotham by Gaslight. All these sort of, it's always Batman. What if Batman was a vampire? What if Batman got the Green Lantern ring? But in Red Sun, it was what if Superman's rocket landed in Moscow instead of Kansas? So he's raised in the Soviet system. What is a Soviet Superman like? What does that make America do in retaliation? It's a really, really interesting story that was really controversial when it came out. Adaptations have been attempted because it came out quite a while ago.
There's an animated adaptation. You can watch it on Max. That's actually pretty good.
It's pretty decent, and the story itself is very, very interesting. How it, the it's always interesting to see these kind of high level comic book creators take on these sort of sideways turns on a well known origin, but it also makes a lot of very good comment about that struggle, and also plays with the lore and the mythos in very, very original and kind of novel ways. Definitely worth a read. We can check real quick if that's on Hoopla. We can skip to Hoopla recommendations, make it a Red Sun weekend.
We'll definitely check. I bring it up too because we talk about a lot here on the big broadcast about how a lot of the people who push to have more of the Justice League also were the same people who are crying about Henry Cavill not being Superman. I mean, this does both. It would be a really fun and interesting look at this character, and it also lets people let that wing of people who insist on having more Henry Cavill as Superman get Henry Cavill as Superman. I think it actually would be kind of a way to, I mean, whatever, he's clearly will take the paycheck because he came back to do like, I don't know, 3 hours worth of work on Black Adam. So, but it would be interesting as a sell to him. Like, this is, as an actor, this is going to be a different take for you to do. Stay weird. Do you think the DC universe could ever triumph over the Marvel universe in the movie world? If so, with which movie? Great question. I don't know. I think the MCU has laid too much groundwork. They've done too much. DC kind of slipped up trying to establish their own universe, and I think Marvel is just too far ahead of them. However, James Gunn taking over, I think, set some things. And Batman is always very popular, so make a good Batman movie. Speaking of the DCU, it was announced this week. We briefly talked about this. And before we talk about this, I have to say that this is the person's name, okay? But it was officially announced.
Kenny.
DC Lion, be forewarned, okay? It was officially announced in terms of DC characters. We have Supergirl is going to be played by House of the Dragon star Millie Alcock. That is her name.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.
I mean, maybe we could think of a different way to pronounce it. Maybe it's pronounced like Alcock. Maybe that is the way to say it. Millie Alcock is she's the new Supergirl. So if you watched House of the Dragon, she was the younger version of, I always forget the character's name.
Oh, it's probably something filthy.
Yeah. She was one of the Targaryens. She was a Targaryen. And I thought she was wonderful on that show and was really kind of bummed when that show did the time jump and we didn't get her anymore. But now the fact that she's going to be Supergirl, she's going to be introduced in Superman Legacy and then going to have her own series, which we've talked about last week. Alex, I don't know. What do you think about the final casting choice?
I'm not really that familiar with her work. House of the Dragon kind of came and went for me. So I trust in Jimmy James Gunn, the Jimmy James Gunn. I think too we'll get a chance to develop a kind of a connection to this version of the character over the course of a series. And I also, mega jealousy for this young person who got to be on 2 enormous franchise IP series on Max. Where's a little slice for the kid? How come I'm Toad's B team all the time? I don't ever get to suit up. I just want to I want to assemble. I want to something. Just put me in there. I deserve it.
So if you're on one Max IP, which is the Game of Thrones IP, and then you're on another Max IP, which is DC, does that mean she then has to do some sort of home renovation show next because that's to stay within the Warner Discovery box of entertainment? Right.
No, get ready for an announcement for Queen in the Castle on the Magnolia Network, where she goes around to castles around the country and helps them put a toilet in or whatever.
I love it. Yeah, no, I love this casting choice. I'm always
Game of Homes. Never mind. Sorry.
That was right there in front of you, and I love that. No, we got there though. Sometimes you miss the first shot, you get your rebound, you put it back up, and it goes in. Or sometimes you sometimes it's first and goal. Oh, sports news is later. Oh boy, I always remember that's a part of the show while we're doing the show.
I know. Why is it how long have we been doing this? And
over a year.
Thing always surprises me.
Yeah.
God, the dogs.
That's right. I'm supposed to know that for this. Yeah, no, I think I'm always interested by inspiring casting choices, and James Gunn, I feel like has done this. I was interested. This is a sidebar. Did you happen to catch Jacob Elordi on Saturday Night Live?
Yes, I did a little bit.
So he was who the internet, when it was James Gunn was announced to be making a Superman movie, he was the internet's choice to be Superman. He was like, oh, from Euphoria, and then he was in Saltburn, and he was in a bunch of other indie movies this year. But he was who the internet wanted to play Superman. And James Gunn ignored all of that and cast the other guy whose name is close to Jacob Elordi. It's like Dan Devine or something, whatever. But I think that he has a track record of showing that he's going to cast who he thinks is right for the role. He's not going to listen to external forces. Much like Max did when they released the Snyder Cut.
Right. I after having seen Mr. Elordi's performance, not taking anything away from him, but he's a little gaunt and he's a little haunty for me to be.
He's very tall. He's a very tall. Yeah, gaunt is a good word. Melissa.
I like a meaty guy. Somebody with a little Kansas on him.
Like Henry Cavill.
Yeah. By the way, is Henry Cavill going to be the only Superman to make it out of that role alive with a career?
I will see. I mean, Brandon Routh has survived well on the DC television universe, so.
But I mean, like the kind of career you would think a big jumping off point like Superman would provide, which has not been the case in the past. Like Christopher Reeve was a movie star, but not an enormous movie star.
He was typecasted after that. I don't think typecasting is as much of a thing as it was because there's so many more outlets for content. I think if you were a television star on a certain TV show and there was only, 7 channels worth of TV and there was only 30 movies per year that came out total, it was a lot easier for you to get typecasted into certain roles. I think that still definitely exists. I mean, Hollywood is still incredibly racist and narrow-minded, but come on. But I think but you look at even people like Jace. We're getting off track. We need to get back on track. But someone that comes to mind is Jason Bateman, who found success on Arrested Development, did a ton of comedic stuff, was getting the roles that fit, which is a real strength of him as a performer, which is his dry, sardonic kind of tone. But then because of how much content and how much need for content is out there on these streamings, he's able to get a show like Ozark, which is not a dry, sardonic show in the slightest, and be able to do that and play a fully dramatic role. So I just think, I don't know. Henry Cavill was also, he's British. British people can, and if anything else, they can just go back and do a BBC period drama, and that'll, give them some success at some
season 1 of Withholding.
Exactly. Finally, that One Piece, something that we always talk about wanting to do, but neither one of us has full access to Paramount Plus. I now have full access to Paramount Plus, and I'm getting caught up on the Star Trek. We are both Star Trek fans. One thing we have not had from Star Trek in quite some time, they've been focusing wholly in the television space. There is a movie that has just started into production. It's called Star Trek Section 31. It is going to star the absolutely wonderful, Oscar-winning actress from last year, Michelle Yeoh. Her character, Emperor Philippa Georgiou. Sorry, she made her debut in the pilot episode of Star Trek Discovery. And this apparently is going to be in a mirror universe. Again, we're talking about an Elseworld or a Sideways verse, where her character is an agent of the Federation spy group, Section 31. So this is going to be like a Star Trek spy story that's going to be released on Paramount Plus. So it's still kind of operating in kind of the digital space, but this is a Star Trek movie, which is exciting. And Michelle Yeoh is just, come on, fantastic.
Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spock.
Oh, good Lord. Can we get them on the phone? Can we get Paramount Plus on the phone? Star Trek Section 31, Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spock. Because Spock can be in it. Spock's in, way to dab. Spock is in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is an awesome show if you haven't started watching that. And Spock's on that. So why not? Put Spock in everything.
Put Spock on your Spock. We heard you like Spock, so we put a Spock in your Spock so you can Spock.
So you can Spock. What's your temperature level about a Star Trek movie? That sounds awesome.
I have never not had a good time at a Star Trek film. Going to the theater, watching Star Trek, actually one of my favorite memories of like a job. I got to shoot something in Vancouver in Canada, and
Humble
at
brag.
the time, thank you. At the time, Netflix up there had all the Paramount movies, so I watched all of the Star Trek films back to back while we weren't shooting on a rainy weekend.
Love
It was awesome, so exciting. And by the way, I remember sitting in the movie theater for that J.J. Abrams Star Trek, the first one, and that was one of the most fun times I've ever had in a movie theater.
Absolute hoot. That movie was wonderful. I think I saw it like 3 times in the theater. It was so great. What's the one? Is it Star Trek Nemesis, the one with the Borg? Or like,
right, yeah.
There's one of the Next Generation movies was like shot, edited, and released in like less than 6 months. And I think it's that one. I think it's the Star Trek Nemesis.
Incredible.
I'm not kidding. It's either that or the Star Trek Insurrection, which is not about January 6th. It's about a whole other insurrection. One of those like middle Star Trek Next Generation movies was like, like greenlit, shot, and edited and released in under 6 months. Like I think it might even be under 3 months or something, like from like actual like final cut, final principal photography wraps, and then movie is released. I think we'll look into that when we do some Star Trek. That's the quick hits. We did it. Quick hits in just a brisk 26 minutes. We tease the sports portion. So this is on the Fan Controlled Sports and Entertainment Twitch feed. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are on X now. And we do one piece of sports news to appease the Fan Controlled Sports and Entertainment gods. Alex, give us your piece of sports news for the week.
Formula One was rocked by 2 enormous pieces of news this week. The first being that the final team in the running to add themselves to the grid coming up in the coming seasons, the 11th entry being the Andretti Cadillac team, approved for basically to apply by the FIA. Well, we found out that their application was denied by Formula One right holders, Formula One management, because they didn't think it was commercially viable. And everybody read between the lines to say that basically the current 10 teams don't want to split the cash pool with an 11th team. So they've made up some bad faith reasons about an inability to field a competitive car, blah, blah, blah. Well, then with suspicious timing in relation to that piece of news that everybody hated, it was announced that 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton is moving from Mercedes to Ferrari, joining the ranks of past world champions who have driven for the Scuderia, including Sebastian Vettel, Michael Schumacher, and Kimi Räikkönen. It was titanic, and it created shockwaves. He'll be joining the team starting in 2025, giving him one last run to try and bring Mercedes back to their former glory. But really a disappointing week for American fans with the exclusion of Andretti Cadillac, at least for the next 2 seasons. Kenny, back to you.
Did you ever that episode of The Simpsons when like, I forget which one it is, but like they're trying to see if Homer's following along, and it cuts to what Homer's doing in his head, and he's just going do 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 do. That's kind of what's happening on my end when you're talking about Formula One, which I assume is going to happen when I talk about my news, which was yesterday they announced the 2024 NBA All-Star rosters. I know. The starters were already announced as the fans get to vote on the starters. And the fans had previously voted in the East, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Halliburton, Damian Lillard, and Jason Tatum. In the East. In the West, Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, LeBron James, and Nikola Jokic. But last night they announced the reserves, which are voted on by the coaches. In the West, we have Devin Booker, Stephen Curry, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard and Karl Anthony Towns. So there was all people who have been on All-Star teams before, and no new All-Stars there. In the East, Bam Adebayo, Paolo Banchero, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, and Donovan Mitchell, and Julius Randle, who is injured, so somebody else is going to come into the game. And this roster features Tyrese Maxey and Jalen Brunson and Paolo Banchero, 3 players who have never been on an All-Star team. It's always good to see some new faces in with the old in the All-Star 2024, a game that is known for its defense.
Wonderful. What a wonderful, always like to see some new blood and 2 guys named Jalen B.
Jalen
what
B.
kind of confusion
JBs.
that's going to...
JB. I love a JB. They should have to play flag football like the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, make them all play soccer in those big inflatable balls, but like blindfold them.
Okay, sorry, I got reading a note here. Yes, I think I like that. Anything to mix it up. Just because the NBA All-Star Game, they changed how the scoring, but that's for another time. Alex, for this time where we are currently living in, you are always out on the streets, grinding the pavement, grinding the grindstone to the earstone to the grindstone to find us corporate underwriting and advertising for the week. Alex, who's our sponsor for this show, the first annual Fandie Awards?
Well, the sponsor for this week, of course, every recipient of a Fandie Award will receive a trophy provided by our corporate underwriter for this week. It's Brophy's Trophies. They're on the corner of Pico and Overland on the west side of Los Angeles. They're a family-owned and operated business since 1950, and they have a classical approach to trophying for classical pursuits. One thing they don't participate in, participation trophies. You'll only find awards for good, upstanding, moral activities like football and deer skinning. If you come in here looking for my geek kid lost third place in the science fair, we'll send you packing. Learn to do something like truck modification, and then come see us for your accolades. I bet my wife could lift you. And that's Brophy's Trophies.
I love the name. I feel like if your name is Brophy, you kind of have to go into the trophy game, but I love that they leaned into it hard. I love it.
It's
all
great.
right, folks. Welcome to the 2024 Fandie Awards. We before Alex sings us into the award show, we just want to lay the ground rules here. He and I both have 3, although I have a little short 4th one. Awards. Neither one of us knows what award or who the winner is. We'll read the nominees. I think when we read the nominees, I think then the other one should give their take as to who should win, and then we will say the winner. If you're following along in the app, there will be polls put up you can vote on. I have been told apparently Alex and my answers are quite long, so there might be multiple polls.
Oh, we didn't get parameters.
I know it's our first time. It's our first time, but we love that you're here watching on the app. Please engage. I'm very excited. This is our first time having polls live. All the other fan-controlled shows they're doing a lot more polls during the shows because as the Control app is getting more and more robust, it's a great place to live and operate every day. Oh, no, just short answers without context for people not watching. Well, yeah, exactly. But, that's the incentive to get you to watch.
Wait, people just listen to this? What are you doing?
No, if you're on the app, you can just see the poll, but you can also watch live on the app and do both. It might cut the answer off. Hey, you know what? Then just come on in and watch live, baby. All right, Alex, I was told you've written a song to lead us into the first annual Fandie Awards. So I'll give you a lead in. I'll say, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2024 Fandie Awards. Please welcome one of your co-hosts and co-presenters, Alex Enriquez.
You waited all year. It's finally here. The award show about all the things you hold dear. Welcome to the Fandies. Welcome to the show. Kenny and Alex will show you the winners that you need to know. What was the best of all of the things? Just listen to the freaking Day One Boats and Kings. We got Ahsoka, Godzilla, Echo, and Groot. We even got a big old baby arm to boot. We've had the cliches locked and loaded. Remember when the DC universe imploded? It's time for the Fandies now.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. That was fantastic. I thank you so much.
Literally took me all month to write.
I know. I want to give you, I'm going to give you a break and say, I'll go first then, since I could see how much the effort and how much work you put into that. I want to give you a chance to catch your breath. And I will say, I will go first with my first award. And you know what? You mentioned some of the things that are going to be in my awards. So I think you briefly mentioned this. I think we'll go with this as my first award. So my first award is, and this is one that you could possibly have as well, but so we'll see. This is This is the best Guga of the Guga of 2023. Now, to give context on this show, we often talk about the Guga, which is the Guga is all the stuff that kind of happens during all the goofy stuff, the silly stuff that happens in between the characters talking, in between the development. This is like people flying around in space, shooting each other, like animated people at the end of a Marvel movie fighting on a train, and the whole thing is animated. And this is where the line between what is actually grounding this in reality and what is taking this into Guga silly land. That's the Guga. All right.
Okay.
So these are the best Guga of the Guga of 2023. The first nominee is the Drax baby arm from Secret Invasion. Because this was so Guga. And I'm going to get, most of my awards have little recaps with each nominee. This, of course, is when Gaia and Gravik, played by Ben Kingsley Adir, Gaia is Amelia Clark, they have taken their scroll DNA and merged it with the DNA of a bunch of Avengers that left their DNA at the battle at the end of Endgame. And now that's all their DNA. So I guess when they use that person's power, they start to kind of look like the person. So there's this huge fight and they're morphing and stuff. But then at one point, Amelia Clark decides to use the power of Drax. And Amelia Clark is easily, you could stack two Amelia Clarks on top of each other and they still probably wouldn't be as big as Dave Bautista, who's the actor who plays Drax. So when you give Amelia Clark, who I'm not exaggerating, I think is 4'11". I don't think she's even 5 feet tall. I'm not even like joking. I think that's literally how tall she is. To give her then an arm that is supposed to be Dave Bautista's arm gave us just an all-time moment in 2023 of the Drax baby arm. It was the weirdest thing we had seen. One of the weirdest things we had seen, and it was very Guga. The second nominee is from The Flash, Barry Allen going through the Speed Force, which I can only describe as a snow globe. While going through the Speed Force, all around him, there are images being like going through time, and they kind of look like people, but they also kind of look like cartoony things, including some characters from, the continuity. We saw Batman. We also saw Henry Cavill, who was shirtless for some reason. There's not Henry Cavill in a Superman outfit, Henry Cavill with no shirt on. And it's all being done from while he's in this like little bubble running in place. Just a real all-time Gugai moment. And the final nominee is, I'm going to have to catch my breath before I even say this. I'm going to start laughing. From season 3 of The Mandalorian. I know you know what I'm talking about. This is the Muscle Beach Party scene from season 3 of Mandalorian. This is one of the greatest moments in all of fandom, or Star Wars, frankly. I think this is like episode 3. We open up, Mando and Grogu have ended up with a covert of Mandalorians on some beach planet, and we open up on the beach and they are just living it up. We got guys doing knife training on the beach. We have guys doing like literally shooting their lasers into the water. And it all should have been set to Kenny Loggins playing with the boys. So those are the 3 nominees. Feel free to chime in on the app, but I'm going to tell you right now, who do you think the winner should be?
Well, if we're talking about Guga, and I voted in the app for what I thought would be fun, but if we're talking Guga, what makes you kind of, roll your eyes-ish, I would say it's Baby Arm Drax. I would say that Baby Arm Drax was the biggest, they just slapped something up there for the sake of itself. Let's just, look, it's, they didn't have the restraint or the wherewithal to just make her arm the same color with the tattoos on it and super strong. No, you had to put her Drax's whole arm on it, because just completely it looks weird, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah. So the winner is Drax's baby arm. Of course it is. It's the most Guga thing we've saw. It was for a show that prided itself on being street level and we're not leaning into the big set pieces, to then give us an absolutely out of control set piece to end their show. But I do say honorable mention, the Mandalorian Muscle Beach is quite possibly my favorite moment of all of 2023.
Well,
like, even just
hold on to
thinking,
your hats.
Even just thinking about it makes me laugh. All right, who's your first? Ooh, look at this. Look at the vote count. I love it.
Oh, wow.
Looks like Muscle Beach won. People get it. 392 votes for Muscle Beach. It's definitely one of the bigger moments of the year, for sure. Absolutely. So, Alex,
hopefully the polls can withstand 4 options for each nominee, because
I did 3
options.
But you go do your 4. You can do 4. The app can do 4.
So my next category is for best stunt casting or cameo. Just somebody pops up in the middle of a thing and you're like, oh, look who it is.
I love it.
And so we have 4 nominees. We have Bill Murray in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Very much so, yes.
As Lando Calrissian or whatever. Bradley Cooper in Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, another great one. Wow, yes.
Christian Slater in Willow as Mad Mardigan's former fighting compatriot.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Or a stunt casting cameo that was made, the entire volleyball scene from Top Gun that they just reproduced in that one episode of Mandalorian. Where they're shooting at the beach.
Yes. I love that we individually decided to highlight this first. Gosh, all of those are really, really fantastic. I mean, all of them were really great. Bill Murray the only thing about Bill Murray is I wish they wouldn't have said it. It would have been great if he just showed up and we were like, holy cow, Bill Murray's in this movie, which is kind of what the Bradley Cooper was in Dungeons and Dragons, which was just like, holy crap, it's Bradley Cooper. But I mean, come on, the winner's got to be Muscle Beach, baby.
I put Bradley Cooper in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
If they'd had the courage, the moral fortitude to actually put Playing with the Boys underneath the beach scene, then we're talking, that's your winner.
Oh yeah, see, that's the thing. Disney Plus, I think, is going to get called out for their cowardice a lot going forward here. But yeah, the fact that they just, you're gonna shoot that scene, you gotta put some Kenny Loggins in there, and you gotta have some, or at least some shirtless football happening in the back. That's another thing too. I want to call about the scene. The thing that's so amazing about that scene, it is a beach scene showcasing a bunch of people who are wearing just full head to toe armor. So they have got to be absolutely roasting. There's no way that they are not just sweating buckets. And there's a cave right there. We could go into the cave and it's a lot cooler, guys. No. We have to do all this knife fighting on the beach proper only.
This is fantastic. Part of it.
So your winner is Bradley Cooper. That's fantastic.
Right.
And I think I'm totally fine with that. I think that's that was probably the most shot. Let's see what people say. Yeah, the volleyball scene is getting a lot of traction, baby. Love it.
A lot of love for Playing with the Boys. As it should.
I'm telling you, man, go back and watch that scene. You cannot unhear it. Once we've now told you that it has the Playing with the Boys, you cannot unhear it. It's incredible stuff. I'm going to put this back up there. Bang. All right, my next award. I'm trying to think if I should. Oh, I'll do this one. I'll do, this is the most unexpected piece of content in fandom in 2023. This is something that, whether or not expectations it had, we walked out of it being blown away. The first nominee, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, a movie that we were both anticipating, and we both thought the trailer looked good, but I don't think either one of us expected it to be as funny, as fun, as rewatchable as it is. It's a movie that I've put on just for fun, because I was like, oh look, it's streaming now, I'm gonna start watching it, and just being like, oh gosh, this movie is just an absolute treat to watch. Just such a fun movie. Second nominee is, and might be a little bit of a surprising nominee, but I think once you hear my reasoning, you'll understand why. The season finale of season 2 of Loki. Now, this was a show that we both enjoyed. We were both having a good time with. I don't think either one of us expected the season and basically series and almost character finale we got of that show. the Marvel shows, Disney Plus shows have always been knocked for not sticking the landing, which is something that a lot of shows don't do. In fact, there's a brand new podcast out right now that's literally just called Sticking the Landing, and it looks at many shows' season finale or series finales and see how if they stuck the landing or not. This was a show, this finale stuck the landing in such a really, really cathartic way for the character emotionally. There is that shot of Owen Wilson just like looking back at himself, and it's kind of shot from afar, and it's a slow kind of, that's just like, I will remember that stuff for a long time. It was an unbelievably 10 out of 10 finale. The final nominee, Godzilla -1. This was a movie that we did it in a down week. Meaning we didn't have like a show that we were covering. And it was like, I texted you like, hey, there's a new Godzilla movie coming out. It's a Japanese one. We can maybe just like talk about, Japanese Godzilla movies and stuff like that. And then I remember texting you like 2 days before and being like, hey, this movie is at 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. And then going to see it in the theater and just being like, oh my God, I'm literally crying right now in a Godzilla movie in the theater. Absolutely unexpected jolt in the face from Godzilla -1. Alex, those are the nominees. Who is your winner?
That's a tight category. I'll tell you what, the really, really tight category. Everybody's got their merits there. To say about any of those, pleasantly surprised is a vast understatement. But I would say that Godzilla -1 has got to be the most, just out of left field. Not only how enjoyable it was, but how artful and good it was. I just had like an hour-long conversation with my dad about it last night because he just went to see it in black and white. We were talking about, he was saying how it's like the original cut of Godzilla, not the Raymond Burr one or whatever that they added him in later. So yeah, I think Godzilla -1 is not an easy winner there, but it is a clear winner.
And the Fandie goes to Godzilla -1. That was that to me was a no-brainer in my. I thought everything in the category was definitely unexpected, especially everything. I thought I don't think either one of us knew how funny Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves was going to be, but yeah, Godzilla -1 was just like to go in with almost like no expectations, and then to not only have those expectations just like blown out of the water, but just also a movie that we still like. We just bring it up. At any time we bring it up on the show, we just can't stop talking about it because it's just such an impactful movie in the shell of something that has no business being that good. There's no reason why the 38th Godzilla movie should be even remotely emotionally compelling or satisfying in any way. It should just be a total cash grab. But it's not. Great movie. All right, you're next.
To me, it very much echoes what my favorite from last year. Everything, all the time, make it stop.
Exactly. Look at this very tight voting.
Wow. Like I said,
Honor Among Thieves. Yeah. Good. You know what? There's really there's no loser there because all of those things were really kind of unexpected joys. But yeah, Honor Among Thieves really, I think we had said on the show when we reviewed it that it was the kind of movie that felt like you could just like, if it's on TV, you could just pop into it at any time and have a great, I got to watch the next like 20 minutes of this because it's great. Like, and
Tombstone, Ocean's 11.
Yes, it totally is that. Because I didn't even sit down, when I sat down to rewatch it, I just watched it piecemeal. I'm watching like a half hour of this at a time, and like every little chunk was like just great. All right, your next award.
All right, my next award, as Fandom expands, we have so many more opportunities for characters to appear, but maybe not the original performer. And so this next category is for Best Voice Match of 2023.
Oh.
So first, I have the guy doing Tony Stark in What If, which is Mick Wingert.
Mick Wingert, Jr. My wife took voice classes with him.
He's really good. Really, really good.
He does Jack Black too in a couple of properties. Go ahead.
I can hear that. The next is the guy doing all the clones in Bad Batch, which is D. Bradley Baker for Tamira Morrison. Next is the guy doing Mario in the Super Mario Brothers movie, which is Chris Pratt for Charles Martinet. And lastly, we have the lady they got to do Godzilla based on the real monster, which is Ayano Kagawa for Godzilla. So those are our categories here.
Godzilla -1?
In Godzilla, she plays Godzilla in Godzilla -1, based on the real monster that they created the series of movies about Godzilla.
But she never at any point did the like, you know what I'm talking about?
She did once. She's very old.
All right, so it's Chris Pratt. It's the guy who did all the Bad Batches for Tamura Morrison, and it's
Mick Winger.
Oh yeah, Mick Winger for the What If, and then sorry,
a Japanese person I made up for Godzilla, the real monster Godzilla, Ayano Kagawa.
Oh man, the guy who does Mick Winger does do a pretty solid Robert Downey Jr. It's always impressive when you hear these people do impressions or do like voice matches for people that you don't hear people do impressions of, you know, like it's, you know,
right.
It's not insane to me that you can find someone, oh, we got this guy to do a voice match of Owen Wilson. Like you put like a casting call out for a voice match of Owen Wilson, you probably get like 5,000, you know, calls, but a voice match for Robert Downey Jr., you might get 5 back. You know, it's such a, and he really, really nails it. So that's very impressive. And then of course, I mean, we are Tamura Morrison fans on this. We are, you know, I mean, I'm just going to put the banner up since we're talking about it, since he's being talked about.
We've grazed the topic.
So we have to let people know that we need to cast Tamura Morrison as live action Omega, but she is in the Bad Batch, so we're in the wheelhouse here. Right. Oh boy, I think I am going to go with the Machi of Mario was in that movie twice though. Oh, who else did Chris Pratt play in the movie?
You know, Charles Martinet was in the movie as a cameo, but he is the original Mario. So I'm positing that Chris Pratt was just trying to do a voice match for Charles Martinet.
But he certainly did. He did not, though.
No, it was sort of a joke answer.
I'm going to say the guy who does the voice of the Bad Batch.
That was my pick, is D. Bradley Baker, especially as we're moving into this final season of the Bad Batch. You know, he has done such an incredible job through, I mean, it's almost 20 years now of playing every single one of these characters in so many different ways. A real super talent of the voiceover industry.
Yeah, that's a really incredible pick because I forget that he did all of the clones in 7 seasons of the Clone Wars. They didn't hire different people. That he did every single voice, and the Bad Batch specifically it's only those 5 or 6 characters. I don't think he does Omega, which if he did, God bless him. But but to do like such 5 uniquely different people, but then also to remember that he also did all of the clones that were all people that were supposed to be the same, but have little tiny things that made them different. And he made them all different. What a great award. Give him his flowers. Give him his trophy from Brophy's Trophies.
Yeah, Brophy's Trophies heading your way.
All right, here's my next one. This one's a bit of a slam dunk. All right, you ready? All right, this is the You're a Coward Kevin Feige Award.
All right.
These are the best moments where Kevin Feige could have introduced Sam Wilson's shrimping boat into the MCU.
Thank you.
For those of you who are just joining us for maybe the first time because you're on the app and you want to know what's going on, we have been champions since, you know, let's cut back to 2021. We didn't get any Marvel content in 2020 because of, I don't know, something that was going on. And one of the first pieces of Marvel content we got in 2021 was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And that first episode really, really cycled around the fact that Sam Wilson was trying to get a loan to buy a boat. And so we've just been the day one boat stand king since then. We have always been clamoring for Kevin Feige to bring back Sam Wilson's shrimping boat. And he had ample opportunity to do so this year. So these are the 3 nominees for the You're a Coward Kevin Feige Award. The first nominee is Loki Season 2. This is a show that literally takes place in the multiverse. We are going every which way, and everything is possible. Everything is possible. We are going anywhere and everywhere, everything all at once with Ki Kwan.
Everything all the time, make it stop.
At any given point, Sam Wilson's shrimping boat could have shown up. At any given point. There's no reason Why? Bring it back. Shrimple as that, says Freddie Airmail. Well, freaking done. That's a heater right there.
Damn.
That's a real heater. Yeah, there's just no reason why, you can have, whatever, you can have a key lime pie room, but there's no reason why you can't have one of these other things. I mean, come on, make it happen. Make it happen. Number 2, second nominee. This is The Marvels. This is a movie that literally goes to Louisiana, which is where Sam Wilson's shrimping boat at the end of the movie, where we get to see Captain Marvel in an airplane when you very easily just could have had a boat. I mean, even just go toot toot. That's all we've ever asked for, is it to kind of just breeze on by and go toot toot, and have Sam Wilson's boat, and then you of course have Bucky and Sam Wilson's sister getting it on the boat. The final nominee is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which took us to an entire planet that looked like Earth, and we were flying over large bodies of water where, there was all those like kind of humanoid animal creatures, but we flew over a lot of water. There's no reason why you couldn't have just digitally put a little boat on there and digitally put Bucky and Sam's sister making out on it. There's no reason why you could have done it. All right, so those are the 3 nominees for You're a Coward, Kevin Award. Who's your winner?
I mean, it's clearly got to be The Marvels. I mean, I think you and I literally looked at one another and clutched hands in the movie theater when it flashed up that they were in Louisiana. Like, this ultimate called shot from over a year ago would somehow suddenly come true, signaling that Kevin is listening and taking action, not just listening. And then it just didn't come through. And it was I think, and you will remember, we almost got kicked out of the AMC, that I did scream at the screen, "You're a coward, Kevin Feige," and you had to restrain me physically back into the seat. So that's
very intense.
For me.
It was very intense. It was very intense. And the Fandie goes to The Marvels. Yes, this is an absolute slam dunk. The fact that this award is called the You're a Coward Award is basically because of this movie. Like this is. The other things are like, whatever, we're operating in the multiverse, we're in outer space, whatever. Like we're just saying like, hey, look, we're operating in anything is possible space. The Marvels is like, we are literally in the same area. Like it's not a wild thing for Sam Wilson to be there like, hey, Carol, glad to see you're, in my old stomping grounds. You might know my sister, and this is our boat. Done. It takes like what is that? Like half a day's worth of shooting? Come on, man.
He says, "This is my sister," and it cuts to the sister, and she waves, and because she's muffled because she's making out with Bucky.
Just intense. And then camera holds on them for 3 full minutes.
They love each other in a very whole, mature, and healthy way.
All right, Alex, you've got one more, right?
I do, and this one is, I wanted, we got a lot of examples of special effects over the course of the year, and a lot of great examples of, how they impact not just what, stunning visual, but also heightened tension in a scene, add to the cinematic experience. So I am, my next category is best use of CGI, and the nominees are
love it.
Godzilla chasing the boat through the fog in Godzilla -1, an incredibly intense scene, incredible restraint in the use of the effect. I have the giant Ant-Man spaghettification in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I just thought as a visual that was so well executed. The next best use of CGI, it just kind of generally is the use of the volume, which is that virtual parallaxing background for The Mandalorian Season 3. I happen to think it might be the biggest development in media creation since the light. I don't know.
Wow. It's fair for sure.
The last nominee is Nick Kal-El-Cage in The Flash, because it finally made me realize computers are the true enemy. Beware your digital captors, my friends. Escape, error. I mean, computer good.
Wow, that is harrowing. Yeah, the Godzilla, you could have pulled a lot of different scenes from Godzilla -1, because the thing I thought was so fantastic about that, what we said before, is that they made him digitally, but they made him to look like the way he looked when it was just a human person in a suit, which was how they were making those movies well into the 2000s. Like, it's only the last 2 they decided to digitally make Godzilla. So the fact that that was a real triumph of the effects there, because to pull it off and actually make it look really cool at the same time. The Ant-Man one is great. I love the spaghettification, the volume, of course. But I mean, yeah, I mean the Nick Cage portion of Superman. I'm sorry, as Superman from the Flash was just that's definitely a runner-up for I should have put that in as best Guga of the Guga. That was some real wild stuff that I think they were really trying to wink at us at, like, look how fun we are, and it was not fun. It was weird.
It was nauseating. It was a little nauseating. Like, I can't look at it too long because I just start to feel like ick in my stomach.
Yeah, yeah, my pick is the Nick Cage for sure.
Well, actually, the winner is the volume. Like I said, I think as that technology begins to scale and becomes not, in 30 years, maybe it will be apartment sized, but certainly virtual digital production spaces that are affordable to independent filmmakers are going to be popping up all over the place, saving a lot of money, allowing people to express themselves, a lot more. I think it's an incredible tool that we're just now starting to see the beginning of the utilization of. And I really do think it could be the most important thing. Maybe since like digital filmmaking became a thing, since you could literally make a feature motion picture on a phone, this is that next big step.
It's impressive. 39% of the fans voted for Godzilla and 36 for the Flash. Very close for the 11 guys for the Nick Cage. I will just add on to the volume that I also feel like when they used it this year, because I think when they first started using it, they were taking it as far as you can go. And some of those middle Star Wars shows, it might have been like maybe a little bit of season 2 of Mando, a little bit of Obi-Wan, where it could kind of feel like, okay, I know we're in the volume because I'm aware that where they're shooting this now. But I think with Ahsoka, they did a really good job of exploring what they could do, like specifically the Ahsoka flashback to the Clone Wars that had Hayden Christensen in. That was all shot on the volume, and that was incredibly impressive. Yes, I think you're on the app, and my final award for the night. And this is a quickie, and this is a very self-indulgent one, because one of my favorite things in fandom is what we're doing for this award next. So this award is the best least Guga sounding name, a.k.a. the Paul Atreides Award. And this is based on this thing that Alex and I both love. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Everything's all good. The fact that some of these things have, like, in Dune, it's Arrakis, and it's the Harkonnens and Fade Routha.
Resat's Haderach.
Yeah, the Princess Irulan, and then the protagonist, Paul. So this is something that we have loved for years and years. And so are you ready? Here we go. This is for the best least Guga sounding name, a.k.a. the Paul Atreides Award. The first nominee, son of Kanan Jarrus and Harrison Dula, it's Jason from Star Wars Ahsoka. Mm-hmm. Second nominee, the human form of the crone, the leader of the Gales, a mysterious woman who Auric meets in the immemorial city. It's Lily from Willow. and number 3, Atticus Noble travels to Velt, where he takes control, leaving Private Aris, who is disillusioned with the Imperium and Motherworld's immorality, behind, along with their robot named Jimmy from Rebel Moon. That's what Anthony Hopkins' character's name is. Yeah, is Jimmy.
Yeah.
All right. Who's your pick there?
I'm gonna go Fast and Furious. I'm gonna say it's Jimmy from Rebel Moon, because not only is he a mystical robot, it's also Sir Tony Hopkins. So he's like Hannibal Lecter and Jimmy.
It's a real good one. I read that. I was trying to find some like simple names in our content, and I was like, that's not his name, and it was. Well, the winner is it's Paul Atreides. It's called the Paul Atreides Award, of course. Right. Paul Atreides is the pinnacle. I mean, the fans only had the 3 options to vote for, so I'm interested to see who they thought. But it's the Paul Atreides Award. It's the pinnacle. We have Dune Part 2 coming out this year, and coming out next month, and It's Paul Atreides. All right, we did it. That was the Fandie Awards, the 2000.
Fandies.
Oh, Jason wins by a landslide, 61%. I love it. See, that was still, it's the thing that makes it stand out is it's spelled Jacen, but you don't know that. So when they walk in, they're like, oh, hi, Jason. After like talking to like Mon Mothma and Harrison Dula are talking about Captain Admiral Thrawn and Grand Admiral Thrawn and all these people. And then, oh, hi, Jason. It's like,
yeah,
what? Paul
Grand Moff Tarkin and his uncle Kevin.
Prepare the ships. Grand Admiral Dave is going to be attacking soon. Freddie Airmail says Paul Atreides nuts. Do we have another?
Now wait a minute. You can say that, we can't, and we're sorry.
Too late. We did. All right. So that was the award show. We got a couple things that we do in our show every week that we got to get through. The first of which is another ad read for Brophy's Trophies. Alex, you got it for us?
Yeah, it's Brophy's Trophies, family owned and operated since 1950. The corner of Pico and Overland there. Classical trophying for classical pursuits. Someone came in and asked for a trophy for their husband that said, "You're Knuff," and Mrs. Brophy almost put her hands around his neck. I told her, no, not again, Sophie. And yes, my wife's name is Sophie Brophy. And yes, that's a big reason she married me. So that's, again, all of our winners today will receive a special award from Brophy's Trophies, our corporate underwriter for this episode.
I love that she married him just because of the rhyme. Do you know, I had an aunt, and she did pass. And, you know, the Stevenson is on my dad's side. My aunt, my dad's sister, whose name was Betty, and her name was Betty Stevenson, and she married a guy whose name is Tom, last name Stevenson. So she didn't have to change her name. She got married. Just unbelievable. Your name is going to be Julia Gulia. Great line from The Wedding Singer. All right. Well, you know what time it is now. This is the next time in the show. For those of you who don't know what's about to happen, this is where we play. We always play a game every week, and we follow it up with a little stinger. It's called the Game Time Stinger. Here it comes. And then we got it. All right.
Double down. I love it.
So, full disclosure, it was a lot writing the Fandie Awards this week. And I had a whole other game that I had lined up that as I'm in my head. And then when I started to write it out, I didn't like the bit that went with it. So I had to scrap it and I didn't have much time. So we are playing a game that we have played once before, not on the live broadcast. We played this on the podcast and it was from a while ago. So I don't think you're going to remember this game, but I figured even if you do this, it'll be a fun one for the people to watch. All right. Is that okay with you?
Is this fantasy? Guess what number I'm thinking? Because that was a very low lift game, dude. Okay, let's do it.
All right. So I know that you have not seen a lot of scary movies. Okay. But I do watch a lot of scary movies. And I recently was able to, I don't watch a lot, but I watch some. I watched a really great one called Birth Rebirth. Check it out. I had the pleasure of watching recently the 1981 horror movie Happy Birthday to Me, a film in which 4 kids go missing and the school still proceeds with the school dance. Why would you do that? Someone is murdering teens, so let's put them all in the same place. So I'm going to name so we're going to play the game. Why would you do that? I'm going to name a scenario from an actual horror movie, and you have to tell me if they canceled the event or did they proceed to go on like everything was fine, even though several friends from the same friend group went missing. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
In Jaws, a shark murders several people right before 4th of July. Did they have the 4th of July on the beach?
Absolutely, they did.
Yes, they did. And several more people died via shark. Number 2, you ready?
I'm ready.
In the 1981 film Happy Birthday to Me, there was a soccer game on the books, even though several kids had gone missing. Did they play that soccer game?
They played the soccer game, I think.
Yes, they did. They did. And the team won, and everyone sat and cheered like somehow life had meaning, but it definitely did not. You ready for the next one?
Hit me with it.
Number 3. In both iterations of the movie Prom Night, several kids go missing after a known murderer escapes prison and attempts to find his lover who is at the prom. Did they still have that prom?
Yes, they did, I think.
Yes, they did. And at no point do they stop the prom. It just keeps rolling and rolling, kind of like the head of the killer at the end of the movie. And what's weird is that not only does the prom continue, but the friends of the people who are missing go back to the prom to quote unquote have fun. Can you visualize a world where one of your friends is missing and you just go back to the prom? Like, what if they came back? They're probably going to be like, wait, you guys stopped looking for me and just went back to the prom? I was gone for less than an hour. Come on.
Kenny, I know you don't remember the 80s, but it was a go-go time. You couldn't skip a prom to look for a missing friend. You had to go.
Missing friend? Well, there's a murderer on the loose. You ready for the next one?
Hit me.
Number 4. Halloween 4. After Michael Myers murdered several people on Halloween over 2 movies, did the town of Haddonfield keep having Halloween celebrations?
Yes, they did. Absolutely.
Yes, they did. What are these people doing? People are dying and dying over and over, and y'all keep going out. Oh, we got to be brave. No, you don't. They should never have Halloween in that town. Never. And again, the kids who have just lost friends, knowingly watched them murdered, are still like, hey, want to go over to Rick's parents' house and party? His parents are gone. People, come on. I don't care how horny I was in high school, which was very, but like
yes.
untapped.
I read the transcripts.
Yeah, but untapped energy, I can't remember in writing. I was in high school, which was very, which I was in high school, which was very. But people had that untapped energy because I knew that they had chances of me. What did I write here? Hold on. Let me read what I wrote here real quick. Okay. Got it. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read it again. You ready?
Let's go.
It's always great when you go back to read a joke. People are still like, want to go over to Rick's parents' house and party? His parents are gone. People, come on. I don't care how horny I was in high school, which was very, but like untapped energy because I knew that the chances of me actually having sex in high school were like negative 55. But if I watched my friends get murdered, I'm pretty sure the last thing I'd want to do is go over to Rick's parents' house because it's lit. I'm home curled up in the fetal position, throwing up into a bucket because nothing makes sense. Nothing. All right. Last one.
Let's go.
All right. Number 5. In both iterations of the movie My Bloody Valentine, Mayor Hanninger and the town's police chief, Jake Newby, receive an anonymous box of Valentine's chocolates containing a human heart and a note warning that murders will begin if the Valentine's Day dance at the high school proceeds. That evening, resident Mabel is murdered by a mining-geared killer in a laundromat and her heart is removed. Did they have that Valentine's Day dance?
I'm certain they did.
Actually, no, they didn't. That one was canceled. And that was that. Oh, man. All right. We teased it earlier. This is the part of the show where we do Hoopla recommendations. This Hoopla is an app where you can go, you can type in your library card if you got a library card to your local library, and you can read a bunch of digital versions of comics or of manga. They've got huge selections on there, a lot of the stuff that we talk about. Alex, do you have a recommendation for the folks?
Yeah, and pardon me if this is a re-recommendation, but from 2012, it's DC Universe Legacies, written by Len Wein, illustrated by a number of very, very top-flight artists, and it was I believe at the time it was a resetting of continuity, that this was basically how the history of the DC Universe had played out from when superheroes first appeared in World War II up into the modern era, sort of reconciling all of their continuity changes up to that point. It's just a kind of a fun read, and I doubt any of it has any real bearing on what's happening now, and I think they're already in the process of resetting again now. So just enjoy a little classic Len Wein.
Yeah, love it. I'm pouring through manga. The Attack of the Titan manga is just, and the show is so great. But since we teased it, I looked. You can get Superman Red Sun on Hoopla, which is the comic that Alex was talking about, in which it posits a world where Superman, instead of landing in Kansas, lands in Russia and basically becomes a tool for the Russia during the Cold War. Super great stuff. And I just checked it out on Hoopla because you can do that. I'm going to read that comic this week. That's just how I work, baby.
Do it.
Alex, do we have a final read from Brophy's Trophies?
Yes, since 1950, family owned and operated. This final sponsor message, just to show how dedicated they are to traditional trophies for traditional pursuits. One time, Mrs. Brophy told me she was making a special trophy for a client. When I asked what it was for, she told me it was for esports, and I said, "What's that?" She told me it was for video games and that the winner would also get $1 million. Well, I forgot it was our anniversary and she was playing one of her classic annual pranks. When I finally got out of the hospital, we had a good laugh about it. Brophy's Trophies.
I love that he just had somebody like dictate his thoughts and then sent that over as copy for his advertisement.
He's very basic people. I don't think they have many computers over there at Brophy's Trophies.
You mean Brophy and Sophie at Brophy's Trophies?
Yeah, it's Sophie Brophy and Brophy, mononymous.
Sophie Brophy, Brophy's Trophies. Alex, this is the part of where I talk about our dogs. What did our dogs think? We were putting together the awards show. What did your dogs think of the first annual Fandie Awards?
I was very happy that Millie was nearby, and she just kind of reminded me that she was the one who put Willow back on my radar. Oh yeah, I forgot that was last year. So I might. You know what? We'll rewatch that, me and her.
Well, have fun. I don't know if that's a really rewatchable show, but have fun with that. Yeah, my dog. This was one where she was just in the bedroom. She just could not even have any. I think she's like, hey, bro, you know what I don't do? Look backwards, man. I'm always about looking forward. I'm always about going hard. Oh, this is a disappointed the dogs didn't have their own awards category. Oh, well said. That's for next year.
Year 2 of the Fandies.
For the second annual Fandies, we'll give the dogs a chance to give out their own award. This is all in if our dogs are still here. That got dark.
Why would you invoke that? Why
I know.
Would you invoke that?
My dog has epilepsy. I always feel like she could go any point. Let's get out of here before we just
got a cough. And we got to get off this thing, man.
I know this is terrible. Now, Alex, where can the folks find you?
Fucking crying upstairs. Pardon my
French. Easy.
Sorry. Oh, Kenny, you really upset me. Pardon my French. Pardon my fan-controlled French.
Yep.
Find me at Duke_Midnight MIDNIT as it's spelled above my head here on all the platforms and wherever major magazines are sold. And I'm sorry I said a big.
No, we're
big broadcast.
We're breezing past it. Freddie Airmail says Fandies 2.0. What the dogs doing? Love it. That's just remember that's the show name for sure. You can find me at Kenny G Stevenson on TikTok and on this here app Twitch. Please follow me on Twitch. I believe next week I'm going to start playing some mobile gaming on there, and it's just a lot of what you're seeing here, but while playing a video game. You can find me at Kenny G Donut King on Instagram and Threads. We did it. This is another great show. Thanks for being here for the first annual Fandie Awards. I mean, Alex, that song you sang was incredible.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah,
and we want to. In closing, we couldn't have done it without you. We mean the fans. We do it for you, and I'm. Pardon me for getting a little emotional, but I just think when you're looking at a year in review, you really have to take things. You go ahead, Kenny. You go ahead, Kenny.
I
just love the fans so much. I just love our fans so much.
Same, ditto. Tell her ditto, Otame. That's a ghost reference for people in their 40s. Anyway, thanks. Come back here next week.
What are you doing?
I know. Come back here next week and we'll be talking about something else. What that is, I don't know, but come check it out, baby. Every Friday. Today's Saturday. I almost said Saturday. Today's Friday. Fridays at noon PST, 3 EST, and 10 a.m. Hawaii time, baby. Mahalo.
Hello, baby.
All right, we're out of here. Bye. Oh, wait, no, I gotta play the video first. Hold on.
Oh, for the love of.
Now we're leaving. Say bye. Bye.
Bye.